Welcome, anyways,
Aw.
to the Kennesaw State University Toonboom rigging demonstration hosted by James Nethery, Caitlyn Fogarty, and myself, Professor Chris Malone. So, yeah, many of you already know me. I'm a professor of animation and illustration here. But before that, and actually during it too, I've worked on a lot of super fun stuff like Archer, Cyanide and Happiness, Baby Shark, Game Grumps, and all of those projects were also done with James and Caitlin here. So James, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is James Nethery. I'm currently the lead Harmony rigger over at Box Animation, which is like in Midtown area. I've been in the industry professionally for about 7 years or so. I started out as a freelancer doing mostly like small projects. And then I started freelancing for Lowbrow Studios. They're up in Connecticut doing like Cyanide and Happiness. And we did a series called Human Kind of for Facebook TV, Facebook Live, or whatever it's called now. Facebook. I don't think it exists anymore.
Don't they also
Let's see.
do cartoons for Dorkly? Dorkly and College
Yeah, we did things for Dorkly. We did like those little College Humor shorts.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah.
Love those.
Yeah, those were fun. Then I moved to Atlanta around 2015. Worked on Archer season 7. That's where I met Chris. And then after that, I worked on a season of Archer. I also worked on a pilot over at Floyd County, which I don't think has ever been released.
Which one was it?
I think it was. I actually don't remember the name, and I don't think I'm allowed to say because it wasn't released.
Oh no, was it Cassius and Clay? Because that one.
No, it was a different pilot. Yeah, I actually can't. I'm actually blanking on the name.
Well, Cassius and Clay. Yeah, Cassius and Clay is one of the.
Yeah, I wanted to work with Cassius and Clay.
Yeah, so Floyd County had a lot of great projects, but unfortunately, a lot of them get canceled, and that's just standard for the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, so as far as the topic of the demonstration goes today, you use Harmony pretty much like 100% of the time, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, basically, I'll get into how I got into that. So after I left Archer, I went to Lowbrow Studios full time, and I helped them kind of design their Harmony pipeline over there. So I kind of like learned rigging and stuff kind of from the ground up. I got a little bit of training Floyd, but I kind of developed things through my time at Lowbrow. And then finally I moved on to Bento Box now, where I feel like I've finally got the hang of it after years, you know. So yeah, I primarily use Toonboom Harmony. I also do animation in Flash as well, or whatever it's called, Animate. Now I've also worked in
Animate. The term's interchangeable, so
yeah. So yeah, yeah. Primarily, I'm a rigger, so I'll get like a character design sheet, trace the sheet, make sure it has like a nice line around it, and then I'll rig the character so it can move around.
And I think that's going to be one of the demos today. Would be one or two of the turnarounds that I gave you for Game Grumps.
Oh yeah, cool. Let me put those up just as the.
All right. So I guess before we even begin that too, for the uninitiated, would you be able to also describe to us what rigging is?
Yes. Rigging is basically you take a pre-designed character, you break it up into different layers. Basically, you add like rotation points or pivot points to the character. So it's basically like rigging, like say you have like you remember those paper puppets you used to make in high school or in grade school.
Right. You would have pins at the joints.
Yeah, you would pin the joints and then you would move it around. So you're thinking of all the joints and everything. It's like some rigs that we don't really do this at Bento Box or anything, but it gets because it gets a little heavy, but you could like rig the fingers and things like that.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
I also like to describe it too like an action figure or a toy that has all movable parts. Is that they come with predetermined movable parts. Like let's say you get You know, I'm just gonna say it, like an old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figure that I used to play with as a kid. You would have the movable joints of the arms and the elbows and the hands, and essentially you're taking a 2D character and applying rules and guidelines to those joints about how far they would be able to twist and turn. So
Yeah, exactly.
and then after that, you get animated, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
Then you can animate.
And so,
Yeah,
what would you say some of the benefits of this route rather than frame to frame? Because most of my classes right now are frame to frame animation.
It does. Once you get all the rigging and everything done, it's like it has an advantage of like being able to reuse the characters from show to show and have everything kind of keep on model. So you're not drawing things off model all the time. You have all your mouth shapes predetermined. You have your eye blinks, hand shapes. Yeah.
Like
So
at Archer, we would design a few bodies at the very beginning of the season, and we wouldn't have to draw another body unless there was a specific change done to it later on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. And if you want to make
because Lana Kane kept getting progressively more and more pregnant with each episode. So we had a model for every episode, but every other character stayed the same. That made it a lot easier for us throughout the whole season.
Definitely. So let's see.
So
I'm gonna pull up one of those model sheets that you made for me.
Excellent.
Yeah, if I can find this in my Dropbox somewhere.
So one of the ways that James and I work together is I handle a lot of the pre-production work with stuff like backgrounds, storyboards, animatics, character designs. Sometimes I'll even break up those characters for James to rig in Toonboom, kind of like what we did with Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh, right, yeah. I wonder, do you have any of those old model sheets, like the Adam Ruins Everything?
Not on this computer.
Okay, I don't think I do either. So I thought about, I tried to find one of the old Adam rig. I couldn't find him, unfortunately, so I'll use the Game Grumps instead. But,
so there was an entire episode of Adam Ruins Everything that was animated, and James did a lot of the production work, and I did a lot of the pre-production work for it.
Nice. Yeah, I love that show.
Christopher Columbus episode. So
yeah, I remember that one. That one was really fun to watch. It was before I came to KSU.
So you need to enable screen sharing for me.
Okay. Sorry about that. Who can share? All participants. There we go.
Let's see if I can share my screen.
You should be able to go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay. So share now. Can you all see the screen?
Yep. Hey, there we go.
Nice.
So here's one of the designs we did or Chris did for a Game Grumps thing that we're working on right now. So yeah, you got all the views and everything, and he did Aaron here. And
are you opening up? Did you open up the image?
Which? Oh, do you not see it?
We only see the window.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah.
When you choose share screen, I think you can choose to be able to do the entire screen or just a particular window. So.
Yeah. Let me see. Advanced portion of the screen. Files. Screen 1, screen 2, maybe. Try that. Okay. Can you see things now?
Oh yes, we can see everything now. So.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Can you see this?
Hey, there we go. Now we can see.
There he is. Yeah. So this is one of the designs that Chris did. You can see that he did all the views. He did the full turn, 3/4 profile, 3/4 back, and he did it for both sides.
I am so sorry that I did not give you a symmetrical.
Oh, it's okay.
It doubles up the work just for the highlight and the hair.
No, it actually worked out okay.
Okay.
The hat was a little tricky. I'll go into that when I open up the rig file in a minute. But yeah, here's the Dan rig. Same deal, and he actually showed what he looked like under his hair, which is always helpful.
I mean, I don't think we're going to need it at all for any of the angles, but just in case we do.
No,
Yeah.
it did help with building this rotation though.
Oh, good.
And here's the moles that he did. For the Monty moles.
You're so good.
So
I-
really,
So much fun with these.
yeah,
James and I constantly play Mario Party whenever he comes over. So,
it's so much fun.
and I always have to go for a Monty Mole whenever that happens.
Yeah, and I think, oh yeah, these are all the backgrounds that you did.
Yep. And so one of the things we're able to see here is that to the left, that's what it looks like with every single layer, or sorry, that's what it looks like with every single layer turned on.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I also have to break up the layers too, so that way we can have characters interact with it. Like at one point, Monty Mole takes the shades and closes the blinds. So
Mm-hmm.
so here's the actual rig that I built for him. So you can see I actually did.
child.
Yeah, I actually did a couple extra angles of his hat, so it'll like rotate
Oh, cool.
smoothly.
Very
I
nice.
did his full turn. I did his other hat. So you can see that this character, it's all built with his limbs broken up,
Mhm.
so you can rotate everything. It also has deformers on here.
So we actually haven't
Snazzy.
gotten into. A few of my students haven't gotten into deformers yet.
Okay,
What can we do with deformers?
with deformers, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Like say I have this arm here and I want it to shape into a different shape. Here, let me see. I'll go back. Undo all this. So I'll grab like his 3/4 here and I'll paste it. Let's say I needed him to do a pose, and so bend him over and move his head,
Mhm.
move his eyes. Right, so let's say I wanted to, the simplest thing is like for an eyebrow.
Mhm.
It's like you can use it to tweak the shape like that.
There we go.
Yeah, without like a lot of extra drawing. You know, and I've got like his,
It saves so
Eyelid.
much time. Yeah.
yeah. I've got like his eyelids. It's like basically this rig is a full deformer rig, so he'll have deformers on basically every part of his body. You can do like his eyelids, and I have like I made like a bunch of pre-designed blinks and things for him. Like even his pupils will have like deformers if you need to like.
Voila.
Warp his
You need
eye.
that fried egg shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. So yeah, the coolest thing I like doing it with like arms and shoulders. So I'll move his arm up like that.
So you're able to still include a shoulder with that too, which is great.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I've got a deformer in here, so I can pull that up. That. I can adjust like the shape of his shoulder as well. And pull this line up. And yeah, I can kind of just like adjust the shape of his arm. I'm doing this with my mouse. I should do this with my stylus.
One of the benefits of this, guys, is that you can have a keyframe where Aaron's arm will be in a certain position on one keyframe, and then let's say 10 keyframes later, you need his arm to be a little higher up, and you can add the shoulder blade, and you can change the shape of the arm bunch up, because like when the arm goes up, I don't have much of a muscle, but it contracts and you get some muscle right here. So you're able to change very simple shapes to be able to move that around from keyframe to keyframe just from the same drawing. That really reduces the amount of drawing that you have to do, and just opens up a wide world of expressions and emotions you can get out of your characters for that. That's pretty fast, pretty cheap, and it looks great in the end. So
it does, yeah. This is cool. This is one of my favorite features. I like being able to open up the sleeve like this. Get a nice.
So one of the things I want you guys to also notice is that even though you can't see all of these elements with the body that James designed, there's still a lot of elements underneath it. For instance, like the shoulder was hidden behind I guess like the strap of his overalls. And
yes.
Even though it was hidden, like it's still there for you to use later. Essentially, your character's design is going to go past what is visible. Like if you take an action figure, like I mentioned earlier, if you pop off that character's head, either they're going to have a neck sticking out of the bottom of the head, or you're going to see a peg for you to be able to put that head on. So even though you cannot see said peg, it's always there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like Caitlyn's going to talk a little bit about that, like actually designing for a rig. Because she has a character that she's going to show that we're working on.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oops.
Exciting.
Oh yeah, so you can see actually here, I'll show you when I turn off all the deformers what he looks like. He explodes.
No. Oh no.
Yeah, he's so weird looking.
It's kind of like taking the plug out of the bathtub, just
exactly.
like, oh no, the bubbles.
Yeah.
Hear a UFO in someone's background.
Yeah.
And this is cool also. It's like I made this rig so things can be easily copied and pasted. So if I wanted to find his arm here and say he's doing a similar pose on the other arm, so I can copy that and I can paste it onto this layer. So you can see it's a little weird looking, but you can adjust it. It just makes things very easy to reuse, which is very important if you're doing TV animation.
Yeah.
Like at Bento Box, we'll do like walk cycles for the characters that people can copy and paste in to their scenes. We'll do like eye blanks, we'll do mouth charts. Let's see if I have any of those.
Actually, for the students of my digital animation production class, you guys are going to be starting your walk cycles. Actually, you guys actually got their walk cycle assignment on Thursday.
Yeah.
And and everyone in my foundation animation class, you guys are going to be starting that as your final project in 3 weeks. So.
Awesome.
And then the mouth flaps, that's going to be the final project for digital animation production 1.
Yeah. So I've got his mouth shapes here, and I've actually attached it to a master controller.
I like how you got the mustache move with it too.
Yeah, the mustache moves.
Yes.
This is all deformers as well, so it'll all like in between smoothly. So you can get like a real smooth motion out of it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I'll show you a little bit how that works. Yeah. So you can see all the deformers moving around. I also got his eyes attached to a master controller. So you can have a set of blinks and just some expressions in there as well. You can see the pupils go down a little bit as he blinks.
So there is so much prep work that goes into it, but the final thing you're able to do with it afterwards just
Yeah.
is incredible and so easy. I mean,
Mhm.
like let's say you and I decide to do another Game Grumps cartoon immediately after this. Like
I could reuse this character. I could
Right.
reuse him. I don't have anything else to do. You can see this entire timeline. This is like all of his. That's his eye blinks there. It's his mouth shapes. I don't know why they look so weird there. It's just a lot of pre-production work.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Right here, I think this is just messing around with his rig here. Just like,
Now, what I like about that one right here is that it's 3D with it.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, you can get like a real nice look out of it. And you can see again, if I turn on all the deformers,
Oh no!
just turn completely different screen. But you can see it's making my computer chug a little bit.
Now he's a chia pet.
Yeah,
Yeah, Pat.
Your computer's just like, please stop.
you can see all those deformers moving around.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's like he
Looks so good though.
And it's like doing rigs this way. You don't have to do rigs like this, like fully deformed. You can do it like simpler, like drawing swaps and stuff like this. But the advantage of this method is that you get a very smooth look out of it. You can get a very full animation feel.
Turnaround that you did earlier, like it was seamless with a lot of the movement.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, and this, I mean, this took a little bit of tweaking to get right. Like this little thing, it's not perfect. So it's like if I just cut out all the tweens here. This is the thing you have to remember about cutout animation is that you always have to tweak it. Because you'll see if I just hit tween between those two poses,
Yeah.
it'll move. But it's like you can easily like tweak the deformers and everything to get that real smooth look if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's
And
Agent Smith from the Matrix.
yeah.
It's like, let me just clip through my stomach here.
And it helped. I added his front view in here to make it. Yeah, you can see it in between's pretty well, but you have to still tweak it, and it'll be like that in all the rigs that you come across. It's like it'll very rarely be a perfect rotation. It's like you're gonna have to do some work to get it looking nice, but it cuts out about 80% of the work, I would say.
So in a way, it kind of gives you like your starting point. So here, during the turn when we saw him in the full view, we would essentially go in and just modify some of the arm layers then.
Yeah, and Harmony has a real cool thing. It's like where you can, like, this is where I really miss when I go back to Flash, is like the Z spacing. Is like if I wanted to move his arm behind his body, I can just hit like Alt and arrow. Just have it move back there. It's like in Flash, you would have to like make a different layer, put his arm behind his body and stuff like that. With this, you can just pop it behind his body. And it's like, I remember first using Harmony and seeing that, and I was like blown away.
Yeah.
Because it was such an issue in Flash, all the layering. And also like patching for joints and things like that. So if you can see, it's like these two joints right here, they're just rounded off. But I've got like a system in place where it'll automatically patch the joints. So you don't have to worry about like disconnected lines and things like that.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Now when
I have a question. For deadlines, if you're rigging, do they give you like a certain time to only rig a certain part of the body, or do you have to get it all done within a specific time?
It depends on the complexity of the character and like if he's going to be used a lot. Like if it's just a background character, you might do the whole character in a day. But if it's a full character like this, you might spend a week or two on one character. It really depends on how complex the character is and how often he's going to be used in the show.
So
Okay.
for custom shots, like let's say we were doing an overhead angle of Aaron just like reaching up to the camera for whatever reason. Would at that point, would you only build the character with the parts that you know are going to be moving? So for instance, would you only have the arms be on their own layer, or would you also, or would the whole body just be a single layer?
I think with this, you could pull off like a crazy pose with just this character. It's like if I got a drawing, I could basically take the deformers and kind of trace the drawing, with the line work and everything.
And then maybe only apply the rigging to the parts that are going to be moving, just for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to open him up here, and you can see.
So you're in the node view right now, and and could you give us a quick description of what the node view is?
Sure. It basically shows the hierarchy of the character. So here's like his entire body peg. You can move that around.
So it's like a
just goes
tree then.
Yeah, it's like a flow chart, basically, that shows like where everything is visually, I guess.
The one essentially I like to describe it as like you know the old song, like the finger bones connected to the hand bones connected to the arm, etc. And
basically the pegs are the bones.
Yeah. Reminds me of a mind map almost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically a map, a blueprint of the character. So it's like I got his head here. If I go over here, you can see there's the deformation group on his nose. If you go inside the deformation group, you've got all the curves and everything already set up. It'll set this group up automatically for you, but it'll pop up every time in the node view. And you got your composites, which is basically like grouping things together. You got actual groups where you can go inside. And you can see like this is all of his eye. Here you got his eyebrow. You got like his eyelids right here, which aren't visible, but I can pop in between those. You got his actual eye here, which has its own set of deformers. So you can move those around. You got his pupil. And let's see.
And then you got just for the arms itself, yeah.
Yeah, here's another group just for the arm. So you got his shoulder, you got his upper arm, which is connected right below the shoulder. You got his lower arm, which is connected to this upper arm. And you got his hand right here, which is connected to everything else. So yeah, it's like basically rigging. Like yeah, it's all based on hierarchy. Basically, everything is kind of chained together.
So if somebody were to get started with rigging their own character, what part of the body would you recommend that they would get started with just to understand the process?
I would start with like the head maybe, because that has like all the, like everything is like you've got cutters in the head, you've got like deformers on the eyebrows and the head and everything like that. It's a good place to really start. I would say either the head or like a limb, like an arm, because then you can kind of.
I remember at Archer, the illustration team's sole job was to get all of these different keyframes ready for the animation team.
Mhm.
And I remember that job was 90% drawing arms.
Yes. Mhm. Yeah, there was a lot of arm swapping on that show, for sure. Cool.
But the reuses for it were also fantastic. So
Yeah. No, it's like this system is all about what you can reuse to like
Mhm.
work smart, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd love to have a whole class dedicated to it where like somebody builds like a character at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah.
You have like a week for it, and then you have like a few projects that will determine like, hey, here's how you have them using or here's how you having them say something. Here's their walk cycle.
Mhm.
I'd love
No,
an
it's
entire semester. Would you say an entire semester dedicated to this would be worth it?
yeah. No, it's important nowadays. It's like we're looking. It's like we're always looking for riggers at Bento Box,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the area. You know, because it's like at a studio like Bento Box or Floyd County or any of the other Georgia studios, they're going to want to hire in Georgia because of the tax credits and everything.
Well, actually,
So,
every student here lives or actually goes to school in Kennesaw, only 30 minutes away from Bento Box Animation. So,
oh yeah,
or
yeah,
Floyd County or Awesome Incorporated. So,
yeah. No, all great studios. So
in fact,
I've
actually,
worked for I think I've worked for all of them except for Awesome Inc. I would love to work for Awesome Inc., but I have not yet. So I've worked for Floyd, I worked for Bento,
Mhm.
I worked for Primal Screen. I want to say there was one more, I can't remember.
now for you students, one of the reasons why animators hop around from studio to studio is at the moment that a show ends, whether it's the end of the season or the end of the series,
Yeah.
you got to be able to find more work. And I think
Mhm.
that was one of the biggest surprises for me going into the industry is at the end of Archer season 5, we just weren't certain if we had the budget for season 6 yet or not. So at the end of season 5, a lot of people started looking for more work. Then season 6 got the budget that we needed, so everyone just kind of flocked right back to Floyd.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
not.
it's like it's gotten much better also over the years. It's like I remember a time when the hiatuses would be very long, but now it's like if we even have a hiatus, it's like maybe a couple of weeks, you know.
And that's just more to give everyone a nice little break too.
Yeah, and I it's like I started Bento Box almost. It'll be 2 years in June.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not had a hiatus since I started working there. It's like
Oh,
we've been
awesome.
so busy. Yeah. So Bento Box still hiring animators, by the way. So,
Ooh.
Actually,
yeah.
I'm gonna write that down in the chat here.
Yeah.
bentoboxatl.com.
Yeah, here I'll pull it up.
Yeah. If you go to bentoboxatl.com,
Oh yeah. I think I saw that floating around a while back.
they're
Mhm.
currently looking for
Yeah.
animators.
Yeah, and you can just go to their career page. Yeah, you can see 2D animators get hired.
And that would be working with rigging.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll be rig characters.
Mhm.
I think. Oh, this is open to non-Georgia residents. That's kind of cool.
What? Awesome.
International candidates, fantastic.
Yeah, if you guys know any international people. I think it depends on the show whether we can hire for out of state or not.
Now I know that you can't share the name of the shows you're working on right now. That's under non-disclosure. But
Yeah, the one I'm working on now is under NDA, but I can tell you what I have worked on at Bento Box. I worked on the second season of Paradise PD.
Hey.
Actually, second and third seasons, which are both up on Netflix right now. I worked on a couple episodes of a show called Hoops, which is also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Let's see. I worked on the first season of a show that's coming out for HBO Max called The Prince, which is like a parody of the royal family.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'll be coming out, I think, later this year. That's announced, so I can talk about that. And then the show I'm working on now has not been announced yet, so I can't talk about that.
Let's say a word.
Yeah, but it should be really cool. So I think all the shows are worth checking out for
Yeah.
sure. Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
If you don't mind us
So-
back to the demonstration here, you mentioned earlier
Absolutely.
you had some problems with the hat earlier. What were
Oh
the
yes.
hat?
Oh, so I basically so on the model sheet you gave me, I had this angle of the hat here. Or it was one of these angles. I think it was this one or this one. But basically I was thinking it's like what if he needed to turn his head?
Mm-hmm.
Like from right to left or something like that. So I basically made a flipped version of his hat so it's facing that way. I made a version of his hat that's facing that way. And I made like a middle version of his hat for like transition poses. Like if he's going from right to left, it'll be good instead of having his hat facing that way or that way. It's good if it's just hit like straight on like that, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you have to be able to add in your own
Yes.
angles in case the designer didn't think of that. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's like a lot of studios
Those
will
darn
go back and
designers.
ask for the design. Oh, it's fine. No worries. It's like that's just something I thought about while I was rigging. And it was really good because I was actually able to I did like the flipped view of the hat and I basically hit tween and I got like again like not like 80% there. I'll show you what I mean. So if I do this one, this one, I had just like an angle in between. You can see that angle, that's pretty much what I have.
yeah.
What I had there. So I just kind of set a keyframe there and I just like tweaked the line work. So everything lined up. Like you see there's a gap in this line. So I think I made like a new drawing
Okay.
and swap through things. Yeah, so now he has
And that way you were able to continue that little bit of a half line there in the middle too, to be able to indicate the
exactly. Yeah, again, the hat, it's all broken up into different pieces. It's like even like his A, it's like he's broken up. I think this is broken into 2 pieces. Yeah, 2 pieces.
I like how you're moving around, kind of like an eyeball underneath there.
Yeah. Well, it's masked like an eyeball too. It's like you can put
Oh
it
my God.
up there. Yeah. And that's a cool thing I like about Harmony. Is like so you can do cool stuff with the eye, where it's like it'll get it underneath. Yeah.
Do the what is it? The house party staring at the painting
Yeah.
too long or what?
Or what about that thing with the old like 3D paintings where you start to be able to see like a duck or a sail or
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh man, my brother pulled one up on like his phone a couple months back, and for some reason I just couldn't get it to work. It took me like 10 minutes to see the stupid butterfly. I was like, where is it? Hey, speak of the devil.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny. Sorry, my brother's here.
we're just teasing him, that's all. All right, so now when you designed Monty Mole, since Monty Mole doesn't have like the same type of like armature, and I guess he doesn't have legs, he just has feet.
Yeah.
Did that present a challenge, or was that easier to rig?
That was pretty easy. I'm still working on his rig, so I haven't quite finished it yet. But yeah, it didn't really pose that much of a challenge. Yeah, it was fine. It was like it was. I'll show you a animation test actually that
Oh, excellent.
Caitlyn did. She did like a rough test to kind of figure out what the feet might look like.
So we got a walk cycle and a run cycle here. Okay.
Yeah. Pull it up. Yeah. So that's kind of what we were thinking for his feet
Okay.
there. Mm-hmm.
And you were able to use the deformers to be able to squash and stretch him.
Yeah, we can use
Go
the
along with
deformers.
his little hop or a skip.
Yeah. So it's like yeah, it always helps to kind of like hand draw things kind of first.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's like you can kind of figure these things out.
So that's fascinating that you guys have to hand draw it in addition to just doing the or just using the rig for it. But that makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, being able to be like, okay, we need to be able to get this specific sketch, this angle down. So being able to get that planning down, I can see how that would be very helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Would you mind? Would it be okay if we could also see the Danny turnaround?
Oh, let me see if I have him on this computer. He might be on the other computer.
All right.
Yeah, let me see if I got him in here. Characters, rigs. This might be him. This is from December. Goodness.
It's been a busy year.
Yeah.
Because I think Danny was the first one that we finished, or at least
Yeah.
finished design wise.
Yes. And rig. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think Caitlyn's gonna hop on the Zoom.
Oh, okay. So she's going to be doing it from her own computer.
Yeah, from her own computer.
Okay.
This looks like an early version of him because he's missing his face. But yeah,
So
you can
a
see
lot of the same. Okay.
But you can see this is kind of like work in progress. It's like I was just kind of tracing the model sheet. I think this might have been. Oh yeah, this is kind of an early version of his rig where I did more like drawing swaps.
So what's the drawing swap versus the deformers here?
Drawing swaps is just like a library of drawings that you can just literally swap through.
Mhm.
You know, whereas deformers, you're kind of like pulling things into place with the deformers.
Yep. So with working in with these vector lines, guys, you could squash and stretch and move and manipulate them. So deformer will be something that will remember where all the vertexes are going to be and what angle they're going to be at any given moment. So you're able to have it essentially move and transform into that position.
Yeah.
While the drawing swaps here, as you said, it was like a library of drawings. So that's kind of more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a mix of both frame to frame and rigging animation, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, this is along the lines of what you might get at like a studio like Ventobox, where you just have like a library of mouths that you can easily kind of swap through. And if you wanted to do like a custom mouth, you can just either redraw it or you can like tweak these little vertice points.
So you can make them super happy here.
Yeah, be super happy. And yeah, you can see that everything is broken up.
So actually, the when the digital animation production class gets to their lip syncing project, we're actually going to be going more with the drawing substitutions here.
Yes, drawing substitutions. Yes. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, sorry I don't have a more recent version of Dan. He's on my other computer, I think.
Right.
Oh, rip.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like students making like things like their portfolio with rigging, like what are some things that you guys look for with that, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. What I look for in like rigging portfolios, I like to see that the rig is kind of like well thought out for animation. You know, it's like I want to see that the character, that the rig artist is thinking about like how this is going to be animated. Like if I get like a rig file or something from the artist, it's like I'll be looking through. It's like, okay, this rig is super complicated, but will it animate? You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll get a rig and it looks really great turning around, but then make 2 keyframes, and in between, and everything flies all over the place, and I'm like, just like, whoa. So it's good to see that a rigger will like test their rig before sending it out, you know.
Yeah. And I think one of the easiest ways to be able to handle that too would be just to use the transformation tool in whatever program you build the assets in, and just see how far you're able to be able to move the assets. Would that be the easiest way to handle that?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
So you're saying like one of the easiest ways to kind of test for that would be to kind of just test it out in other programs by using the transformation tool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically just make sure like your limbs rotate correctly. All your drawing substitutions are there, all your deformers are there. Yeah, because that's what I'll be looking for as a lead animator, or as a lead rigger, you know.
And actually,
like when I get a file back from somebody else, I'll be looking for like, do the joints rotate? Is everything named correctly? That kind of thing.
I actually thought I made a 7-page document on how to prepare for like rigging files. Thought I had on this computer. I'm gonna go find it. I'm gonna include it in the chat real quick too. So hold on.
Thanks.
Oh, the joys of working on so many different devices. Am I right?
All right.
All right. So guys, do you have any other questions about this part of the rigging process? Because when Caitlyn gets here, I think we're going to be going over how to be able to build for rigging. Is that correct, James?
Yeah, that's correct. And she should be on in a few minutes, but if we wanted to take like a 5-minute break or something, we could do that.
All right.
Just while we're waiting.
I think we
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take about a 5-minute break here. We're going to get back at 2 o'clock. I'm going to stop the recording, or at least pause the recording, and we'll get back to work once Caitlyn gets her files all ready for her part of the demonstration. All right.
All right. We'll see you all in 5 minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you, dude. See you in a bit. All right, so we're here for part 2 of the Harmony Toonboom rigging demonstration with James Nethery and Caitlyn Fogarty. So great to have you both here. Thank you, James, for demonstrating basically how to be able to animate Danny and Aaron from Game Grumps and Toonboom. But now for part 2, we have Caitlyn here. So Caitlyn, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm currently working for Baby Shark a little bit. I'm doing bumpers for Baby Shark. I'm mostly an animator. I've done some storyboarding on shows such as The Jellies with Augenblick Studios. I've actually done a couple shows with them. I've done Golden the Insatiable, Jellies. I've done some stuff for the Nib. And then for a while I've worked at Bento Box, which brought me to Atlanta. So I worked on like Paradise PD and what else just came out? Hoops came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Hoops is on Netflix, but Baby Shark is on Nickelodeon and Nick Jr. So.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which honestly, just I can say that that we've done work with Nickelodeon. That makes every bit of the inner child inside of me very happy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like Game Grumps right now.
Oh yeah.
That makes like my inner geek just like.
I seized that opportunity. I was like, oh my god, I know exactly who to call.
I think that is one of my absolute favorite things about the job. Yeah, this is for the students, is that like if you enjoy watching cartoons, being able to make them just as much fun, you're going to be working with people who feel the same thing too. So
Definitely.
All right, so
Sure.
so Caitlyn, so we went over the Game Grumps rigs that we were working on for Danny and Aaron. So what do you have to share with us today?
Well, I'm probably going to more chime in about how to design characters that are ready for rigging.
All right.
So like characters specifically made for rigs. So I don't know where James left off. I apologize, I missed that.
We went over the Aaron rig. Did you want to show like the Nikki model sheet that you made?
Sure. Actually, do you have that? I can probably base it off of your screen.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Or I can share it through Discord, my screen.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Okay.
I think. Actually, I'm gonna plug your Apocalypse page real quick.
Okay. So I'll probably go over her.
I'll just share it right off Twitter.
Yeah, there you go. Gotta love Twitter.
Okay, hold on. Share screen. Okay, share that. All right, can everyone see this?
Oh yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a whole fleshed out turnaround that I'm working on.
Nice.
So for this character specifically, I don't know if you could probably see all the guidelines that's like one on top of her head, like her chin. I had like a lot of them, but I kept it pretty basic where it was like head, chin, like the lip, the width of her head, her torso, and then her legs. And what that does, it just basically going over general character turnarounds is that helps me track like where everything is. So like, because when you do a rig, it's very important to have everything lined up as best as you can or as close as you can, so that when the rigger goes in, everything just kind of smoothly because when James rigs it, you mentioned I don't know if you mentioned the master controllers.
Oh yeah, the master.
Yeah.
Like the head. Yeah.
That's because that's what you're using for Aaron. When everything's lined up nice, the master controller can track it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm trying to find my notes here. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. And I noticed it's like, yeah, you've tracked all the details. It's like, so everything kind of lines up. Like you see her nose kind of lines up from pose to pose. Her eyes line up from pose to pose. It's important when you're rigging to have things like not like float all over the place, especially if you're doing like a rig that's going to be animated very smoothly. And another important thing was like her arms were kind of rigged straight up and down because that makes it easier to rotate the arms.
Right. Yeah. In the original pose I had for her, her front arm was bent a little bit because I was just trying to get a dynamic pose, and she was actually in her original pose. She was kind of sinking in her seat a little bit, like her legs are bent a little bit.
Yeah.
But you actually pointed out, you're like, maybe you could straighten that out because when you set up a character for a rig, it's important to have everything as straight as possible. Because then when they put the deformers on, that'll take care of all the bent limbs. So that he can literally recreate that pose using the deformers.
Yeah. Exactly.
But if it's rigged in that pose, everything will just kind of come out wonky. Like it'll break. The rigs will break.
Yeah.
Which is something I haven't seen actually. I think everyone has been keeping it pretty straightforward. And then right now I'm actually vectorizing her, and something that's really important is to keep track of everything that's almost behind her, like the arm that's behind her, like especially in the profile pictures, the profile poses. It's important to like have the whole arm in the back drawn.
Yeah.
Because even though you don't see it, it's still there. So when you go in to animate the rig, it doesn't all of a sudden because when you'll notice, like when you animate the rig, you'll be like, oh, where's her arm? It just disappears all of a sudden.
Yeah, it just disappears. I've read it for things like that, where it's like she has no arm behind her body. It's like, whoa, what happened here?
Yeah, like I've seen, not all the time, but I've occasionally run into like situations where, for example, like her little pouch, with some rigs I've dealt with, the pouch isn't drawn fully. It's just kind of like half a pouch, and I'm like, oh no, that's a problem. What does the rest of it look like? Like,
that's kind of what we were talking about that a little earlier on the Aaron demonstration. I was like, right, Chris, didn't you bring that up, like drawing through stuff?
Yeah. Making sure that you draw like the peg around everything.
Exactly.
Sorry guys,
Yeah.
I'm going to handle something in the house real quick, but
No worries.
time for dog potty break.
Teacher's gone, party time.
my
Dogs-
cat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
But yeah, so like when you're, it's like, especially that's something that's really important. It's just, even though you don't see it in the drawing, you have to make sure you just fully get every limb, every detail, as if it's like see-through.
Yeah.
And
actually, I'm gonna demo that
okay.
real quick on that file you sent me.
Yeah,
Let me see. You said you shared it with me?
I did. Yeah.
Could
I
you
could
share it with me? Because I don't see it popping up.
I emailed it to you. Yeah.
oh, and also I found my little guide for animating stuff as well too, so I can pull that up whenever you guys need me.
Oh,
to.
awesome. Yeah, share that real quick.
There we go. It's pulling up right now. There we go. Actually, Caitlin, would you like to go first, or shall I then?
You can go ahead while we're setting that up.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So can you guys see this right here? Chris Malone's quick guide to building a character with Redbeard Jake.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember that.
So yeah, this is
Oh, I remember this guy.
yeah, this is a quick little guide that I whipped up from my oh gosh, I think it was my computer applications class too. So I tried getting you guys started with animation with that very early.
Yeah,
This is
I
just
remember that.
this is just like a very simple character that I made in Photoshop just to demonstrate the principles of rigging a character, or at least preparing a character for rigs. And the idea is that you still have everything broken up into so many different parts, but it still goes through. Like for instance, you got your neck, you see the top of the neck peg. It's kind of like a Lego figurine where if you pop off the head, you got the neck still sticking there. You got the chest, the waist. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to break up the body as much as I can. So this is why I have like the chest and the waist are two separate different pieces to be able to give me even more range of having the character stretch back and forth. But then also, in order to be able to help with that connection point, I introduced the idea of a sash in order to hide that connection point. So
that's like a classic Hanna-Barbera type thing.
Yeah.
Like they would do that in the old days. It's like that's why Fred Flintstone has these ties to kind of hide that seam.
Oh, that's why so many characters have ties, like Yogi Bear.
Yeah. Just the other day, I saw like a thread on Twitter where it was like, look at all these Hanna-Barbera cartoons that gave ties to their characters.
Yep.
And I was like, yes.
It was also joking about how animators don't know how to draw necks. And it's not that they don't.
Yeah, that's it. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that they don't know how to draw
necks.
Yeah, it was a thing with limited animation.
I didn't know how to feel about that because I don't really mind necks. And I was like, sure.
Well, I think it was okay. So somebody mentioned earlier or asked the question of like, whenever you're building a character, are there's just sometimes where you don't rig the entire character, you might only rig a certain part. And that would be a similar case for it, where like if you have like Huckleberry Hound, for instance, or Yogi Bear. Yogi Bear is a lot of fun. So like if you got Yogi Bear is kind of like in a position like this, his hands are up, his body's in the same still position, but you have that as one layer, or in this old case, it would just be a cell of animation. And you would have that on top, layered on top of the head. So that way you can move the head as much as you want without having to animate the rest of the body. So that
Yeah.
that theory, that practice is just carried over into the digital age.
Mhm.
So
Definitely. Yeah. I've always said that the Harmony Flash system is just the Hanna-Barbera system, only digital now. It's like
oh,
they
yeah.
tried to reuse everything as possible.
And
It's
that's
like now we can just do smoother animation with it.
right. Kind of like
Now we have the tools.
Yeah.
like with the deformer with Aaron earlier. That's a great example of it. So what I like to do here is I just kind of simplified this into 6 different parts.
Mhm.
You got the head, you have the body, you got the one of each limb for the arms and for the legs. So you may also need like a 7th group too for things that like sashes, tails. If he had hair behind him, whether it be a ponytail or a long hair, that may be like a 7th group on top of that. But I found that being able to just identify the areas that you need to rig will just make things easier for you to design it, and then also easier for your animation team to be able to work with your designs and understand how it all pieces together. And as I mentioned earlier here, like overlap is the key for this technique to work, because if you stop drawing the neck right here at the bottom of his beard, the moment he decides to look up a little bit, you're going to have like a hole opening up in his neck, kind of like a Pez dispenser. And that is why we need to have it going through just a little bit more. Looks like we got another person joining us here. And then also, as you can see here, like I got my chest, I got my torso, I got my chest. This is the sash, and then the pelvis here. So I got 4 parts just for the main torso to be moving around. But because of this, I'm able to have a wider range of emotions and expressions and opportunities with it, but it's still overlapping on top of itself.
And yeah, you could see if we went back to that Aaron rig, you could see that I divvied up like his chest and everything like that, so that things can be rotated. And what makes Harmony great is that you can patch all those extra seams and things like that.
Yeah, you can literally like draw out the whole line if whatever you need, and then with the patch system, it'll hide like it'll taper everything off.
Yeah, it's really great. That's like one of the things. It's like I learned that in Harmony, and it's just like mind blown.
I know. I think I finally got the hang of it working on Paradise PD. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing tool.
Yeah, and it's just like popping the arm behind the head or something like that. It's like, oh, that's so cool. I want to do more stuff like that. Where I pop the arm behind his head.
And like a patch for you guys too would be like, let's say, notice what happens to my shoulders here. Like if I bring my shoulder up here, you don't really notice anything happening to it. But the moment I go up like that, you'll notice that it starts to contract upon itself. So you'd be able to have extra patches to be able to deal with the shoulder changing. And you could just on or off, whether it's a drawing substitution or using deformer. So when it comes to like layering everything too, like every angle that you work with, every design will have its own different layering needs. So sometimes you're going to have the upper limb, the lower limb, then your hand, foot, or paw. As we can see right here, like I have my, or I just kind of separated them right here. So depending on whatever the needs are of the animation, you can change that around. Like for the leg that I have, the foot would be the bottom layer, but then for the arm, the hand may be the topmost layer. So there is no set rule to what order that has to be in. You just have to play around with your own file and just figure out like what layer system works best for it. And finally, I include a lot of rotation guides with my work to be able to ensure that it can rotate as smoothly as possible. And one of the things I do with that is that I will have a layer that is just a circle. and I will have that be at the end of any of these limbs. Like here, I have the arm. So for the forearm, I make sure that like these are the exact same layers right here, just twisted around. And I put a little dot right in here in the middle, and I just make sure that it's able to rotate around that circle. Now, even though an arm cannot bend that way without hurting yourself, technically, if you can make the arm do that in your drawing, you have a smooth file that's going to work out really well with the animation team.
Yeah, those circles are really important.
And
Get
so,
like that fixed rotation point.
so when James mentioned earlier that when you're preparing your files, or at least for like a portfolio, and if you wanted to be able to kind of show that it works, like sometimes having a real little rotation point or a few guidelines would be very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, just going back to portfolios, it's like if you could make like a rigging reel where you show yourself working the rig and everything if you wanted to. It's like I've seen reels like that, but I think for a lot of for like Bento Box, we'll do like we'll give you like a rigging test, I guess, where you have to rig an arm. And it's like a lot of stuff that I look for is like in this demonstration where it's like, okay, is the pivot in the correct place? Did you round off the arms? It's like, is it patched correctly? And I think in the Bento Box, the thing, it has like a tattoo that you have to patch into the arm and everything. So yeah.
Now, I don't have a PDF of this, but I'm going to see if I can at least share the file itself. So as long as you guys don't mind seeing it as a, yeah, so as long as you guys don't mind having it just as a Photoshop document here,
Yeah, no worries.
you could take this guide and use it to start your own rigging character.
Yeah, rig the pirate.
Right, exactly. You have the files in there.
Nothing wrong with rig the pirate.
I guess in Photoshop it's basically like the same principles. You have like the ellipse tool for the pivots and
Yeah, it all applies.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
so you want me to share the file that I have here to kind of like break down how...
if it will work better for Caitlyn's computer or James's computer, whatever.
Yeah, I'll do it for my computer. It's Caitlyn's character, but I can show you kind of like what I'll do to prep the character for rigging.
All right.
So share this. Can you all see this?
Oh, there it is.
Okay. This is
I
model sheet.
I love their weapon of like what looks like a catfish.
Yeah.
I forgot that sketch was in there. I'm sorry.
Oh, that is hilarious. Is that like on the vector layer?
I think that's on the sketch layer, which is turned on, but like I forgot that was there.
Got a little bonus.
A little cat dogfish or something.
Yeah. So this character, Caitlyn's currently vectorizing her. And you can see what we were talking about is like we have the entire arm behind her body. You can see it's like how her hand is drawn.
Yeah.
And you can see like her pouch is fully drawn through. And you can show, I think this should be popping behind there. There you go. You can see like what her neck looks like. You can see what the back of her collar kind of looks like. You can see actually if you pop in between, you can see like what her hair looks like under her hat. So there's a lot of stuff to plan for, you know. And when we vectorize, you'll actually go through. It's like this is like what thickness is the line, Caitlyn, on this?
It is 4.
It's a 4. Yeah, it's a 4 thickness.
And then the taper, I think for the 4 thickness, the taper's 2.
Yeah, a taper 2. Yeah. Yeah, the tapering in Harmony is great. It's like, I'll just take that off real quick.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys use more of the pen tool or the pencil tool?
We use the pencil tool, and the advantage. I'll show you what I mean with the we use the pencil tool because it's easy to like tweak the line weight and everything like that. So if I wanted to like add a taper to this line, I would just hold, I think it's Control. You add a point there. You can grab these little things and you just hold Shift and pull it like that. And you can get like a nice taper at the end of the line.
That's helpful.
Yeah, the other way, you actually showed me the other way I was doing it, which was actually really cool, was if you wanted everything to be kind of consistent, you can select both those points.
Yeah.
And then go into like the properties and then
you
select this.
You said it was a 2?
Yeah, it was a 2.
Yeah, so you can go to the properties and set it to 2, like that.
And then kind of, you just adjust it how you like it. It is magic. It is like, I think you showed me that and my mind was absolutely blown. I was like, that's so easy.
It's literal magic. So let's say I wanted to like rig her arm like this. So I've got what's called just like a template. Let me see if I can find it. It's in here somewhere. This is my library, by the way. I have like everything in here.
So organized.
Reuse. Okay.
Yeah,
Tools.
definitely name your files, everybody.
Yes.
Name your layers.
Do as I say, not as I do.
I also have been making a habit, like when I was vectorizing her, I made a huge habit of naming the drawings too.
Oh yeah, let me show you. It's like this is her node view. It's not as complex as like a full rig node view, but there's still like a lot of layers.
It will be. It will be complicated, I'm sure.
It's like you got her hat or her hat. Oh well, like that. Oh, she's bald under there. You got her hat. You got her bangs. Oh, that's for the.
Yeah, because the bangs turn on. You can turn them on and off.
Yeah, but you got like everything nicely layered, so it's easy for me to go and like say I wanted to rig her arm. So I got my blank template here. I'll just rename it. Rename it Nikki. Copy that. Just paste it there. And just plug it in like that. So go in here. It's just a blank template. Like an arm already set up. I got a leg set up. Torso and head, like just kind of set up, like kind of how I usually set things up, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of setting things up from scratch, because that would be just insane to do every single time. So what I do is I grab her arm like this. I will just kind of copy the line art onto her upper arm layer. So you can see everything just kind of copied on to there. So now I'm just going to go through and just kind of divide up the arm on the upper arm, lower arm. Just grab her hand, like that. Throw it on her hand, and I'm going to add a layer now for this. Why is it on top of her? Why is it underneath there? There we go. Just pop it in front. There we go. I'm just going to add her layer for like her wrist thing here. So I would just hit Control R to add a drawing. I guess I'll call it cuff. Add that.
So in your node view, what's the difference between a blue box and a green one?
This is a drawing, like a drawing layer, and the green box, that's a peg. So if I wanted to add a peg to the cuff, I just do Control P. I'll add a peg, and a peg allows the drawing to be animated, basically.
Yeah, so you can like use the peg to either like rotate it, move it, scale it, but never. When you're setting up a rig though, never use the transform tool to
Oh yeah.
change the size.
Oh, yeah, because I'll show you what happens. Is like you'll get like the weird. You'll see the line weight start to shrink.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. You want to actually edit the line work itself instead of scaling things, because that'll make it stretch in weird ways.
Oof.
Let's see. So I go into my lower arm. So this is where the circle thing starts coming in handy. So I'll just make a whoops. Change to a 4. So I would kind of find where I want her rotation point to be on her elbow. So I just pull it out like that.
So when you're setting up the pivot points, I'm asking you a question now.
Yes.
When you're setting up the pivot points, do you want the line weight to be the same?
Yeah.
Okay. As the character.
Definitely. Yeah, line weight should always be the same.
Okay.
Now it's fascinating that you say that, because like certain, I know that Archer uses different ones based on the hierarchy of the limb. Like I know that the arm is the thickest line weight, but then the
yeah, Archer had like a lot of thick and thin on
Yeah.
it, didn't it?
and
Yeah.
but then again, and also have like one of the more realistic styles. So that
did,
that's a variety of different
And a very like I like to call it like comic book.
I was gonna say it's like a comic book
Yeah.
style.
I should call it an evolution of the Hanna-Barbera style, really.
Basically, yeah. I mean, didn't it start? It's like didn't they start doing like parodies of Hanna-Barbera shows, like those,
Yeah.
like Matt Thompson and
Matt Thompson and Adam Reed did C-Lab 2021.
C-Lab? That's what I'm thinking.
Where they
Yeah, which was taking like again going back to reusing animation. That was reusing animation from old Hanna-Barbera shows.
from C-Lab 2020. Yeah, so C-Lab 2020 was the original show. Then 2021 was where they took the old designs, the old animation, and just redubbed it and created new adventures for the characters for Adult Swim. Then they used that technique to create Frisky Dingo for like, I think that went on 2 seasons.
It's
And
kind of the precursor to Archer.
then they took what they learned from Frisky Dingo and applied it to Archer. So Archer is really an evolution of the old Hanna-Barbera style.
I love Archer. Archer's like Archer. I was so thrilled to work on it because I was already a fan before working on it.
Yep.
Like, yeah, working at Floyd County, that was a really fun experience for me. I really like that. I still keep in contact with a lot of people over there. It's like I
feel like that's the interesting thing about the industry is like I'm kind of going off the rails a little bit, but it's like even like there's always a circle of people you just keep seeing again in different studios. Like I've run into people multiple times in New York, and then here even I've only been here like a year and a half, and I'm already running into people that are like, oh, I know Aaron Aga Blake. I'm like, what a small world that is.
I know. Yeah, I've run into
a lot of animators, but at the same time, like it's a very close-knit community.
It's very close-knit.
It is like that's why it's like once you make connections, they just keep cycling through, I feel like.
Indeed, yeah. And it's like that's why it's so good to be careful with what you say also.
Oh yeah.
The industry is so small.
Some people are not careful. I've
No,
seen it.
some people I see people all the time on Twitter making comments towards studios that they've worked for, and it's like it doesn't always look good on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying you should never do it, but
it's good to talk about your thoughts on different things though, but
just word it,
yeah.
In a professional way.
Yeah.
Like I would never want to say like, oh, F this studio or whatever. He's like, so some people will do that. And yeah, blacklist
that can bite you in the butt, because if you have another studio who's like, oh, this animator seems really cool, but here I see them trash talking their old studio.
Yep.
They don't want that negative publicity for themselves. So
Exactly.
So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just going through and finishing off like the cuff.
What?
I'm going through and finishing off like the cuff.
That way
Yes.
you move the cuff around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's taking the vectors and basically like further layering them.
Yes, further breaking them up, further
Yeah.
laying.
Yeah.
Putting them in the correct order. Like this cuff should actually be underneath her arm. Whoops.
But to go back, by the way, about the industry things, like once you guys do get in the industry, like they're some of the best people in the world to work with. So
Yes.
It is a very wholesome community, I feel like
Really
there's
is. Yeah.
like there's times where we actually took like breaks just to go catch a Pokemon like on Pokemon Go.
Well, didn't the boss of the studio go?
Oh yeah, he set it up. He was
Yeah,
like
he set it up.
the
Yeah.
executive producer was like, we're going out to catch
Pokemon
Mewtwo
Go.
who's
Yeah.
coming.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I really miss the pre-pandemic days because
Yeah.
it's really fun working in house.
You know, one of the things I've always learned is that it's whenever you do meet people in the animation community, like you never talk shop. You just bring up shared interest. And
Yes.
video games are one of the best shared interests to have, or other cartoons that they may be watching at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think because it's such an escape from it's such a different path than well, not totally different, but different path than what they've been doing all day.
Yeah.
Like animating, they'll talk about I think some people will do like D&D campaigns at night.
Oh, that's so much
after
fun.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. I've done like D&D and stuff. I think Bento Box has a D&D.
That's what they have like a group for that too.
Yeah.
I run a session with I think, how many of us are animators? Quite a few of us are animators. All of us are creatives in some sense, and it's a lot of fun. We get a lot of art out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best part. Yeah, get all the art.
Oh,
from all
yeah.
Yeah.
Back
Lucy is one of my players, and she just churns out so much good stuff.
In fact, we have a 24-hour animation marathon. It used to be every semester.
Oh yeah.
It's once a year now, just because it got a little too stressful. But one of our professors, Professor Brasco, would go, and he would actually have a lot of pre-made character sheets, and he would host the Dungeons and Dragons game for whenever any student just wanted to take a break from their work. So,
Yeah.
looks like
Yeah.
you get chat right here. So.
James.
Okay. What did I do?
We saw the chat.
Oh, whoops. Cut that part out.
Now everyone knows my cat's tormenting me. So.
Oh my God.
Well,
Sorry, I apologize for that.
all right, so back to this year. So
Yeah.
I'm done.
so we have the two animation pegs here, the rotation circles for the arms, and you're able to create what looks like to be like there we go. So you're just creating the rotation points right there.
Mhm.
And one of the things that James did, guys, that I thought that was really helpful was instead of just kind of eyeballing where the dot was, he copied and pasted the rotation circle,
Yeah.
shrunk it, and that way he was able to ensure that it would be that it would be in the direct center of that rotation circle.
Yeah, you can see everything makes a good rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And you round it out, like rather than making like a flat line for the hand, you kind of rounded out the wrist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Place the pivot on the cuff too. Yeah.
Very smooth.
Yeah, so you can see everything.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then once I get everything together, I can start making the circles again.
Mm-hmm.
Or where's my upper arm? There it is. I'm using what's called the cutter tool in Harmony.
That's good for, I like that when I have to like get rid of just like little segments.
Yeah, me too.
It's really helpful for cleaning up animation too.
Definitely. So now I can take it and
I remember when I found out about the cutter tool was when I was working for that Gearbox project back in 2016. And I remember I discovered it on my own, and I told a few of the other animators, like, "Oh my god, the cutter tool's amazing!" And the rest of the team was like, "Yeah, we know it existed."
I think that's how I felt about the node view. At first, I was like, "What is the spaghetti?" And
Yeah.
and then as I started getting, everyone was starting to explain it. I'm like, I went back to using Flash for something, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't do this."
Yeah.
It's so much better with the
That's
node
how I
view.
feel every time I work in Flash now.
So the node view is something I'm going to be introducing more in digital animation production too. So if you guys had me for that, that's going to be it's going to be a good semester for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I highly recommend. I was like, oh my god, node view. Once you like learning the node view is definitely magical.
Because right now I have everyone going with more frame to frame animation. Just
Okay.
that way we're able to learn the 12 principles, understand how we can utilize them to be able to create strong animations. Then we go into more of the technical aspect, so that way we can utilize the 12 principles. And one of the reasons why I bring that up is like one of the reasons why the Pixar movies were so great back in the day was that they were one of the animation studios that was still kind of employing, even though they were working in 3D, they used a lot of 2D principles in order to be able to make their 3D cartoons come to life even more.
Exactly.
And that's why I like starting off everybody first with the frame to frame, so that way when you do get to rigging, you can make it a lot stronger. To the point where people won't even know that you have rigged a character. So
For real, like it's I think I actually went to a Pixar seminar and they specifically were like, you know, it's important that you know the basic principles and how to draw and animate in a traditional way, even though we're doing 3D.
I think I may have gone to that also. It's like a Pixar, like an animation seminar or something.
Yeah. So you're setting up the patch right now?
Yeah, setting up the patches. So now, yeah, now you can see if I remove this patch, like the line will come back. Now plug it in. And there's ways I can show you guys. I can send you all a tutorial on how to set those up.
that'll be helpful.
But they're like really useful. And so you can even put like a line on the overlay layer. So if you
So that way it will bunch up that will bunch up a second time. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess with the line, like the whole line was on the regular line art layer. And then in order to get that overlap, you can select the line that you want to overlap and cut it out and then put it on the overlay layer. And that'll show up like if your arm is bent like that.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm going to add a deformer to this guy. Add my deformer.
I guess because what the patch is doing is it's telling, maybe you could explain better, but it's telling the line art layer don't, like it's like patching out the line art layer when it
it's like when
overlap.
It intersects with like the color, like to cut the line off.
Yeah.
It's like the line art is being cut by the color art. And
But when you put it on the overlay layer, it almost overrides that.
It overrides.
So that you can get that nice overlap line.
I've added the deformer right here.
In super time.
So now I can play with these deformers. Now, add a deformer in here.
This is the envelope deformer?
Yeah, the envelope.
Okay.
And yeah, Harmony 20 actually has a cool thing, which I might try out on here. As like a thing where you can do like a deformer and deformer now. So you can add like a curved deformer down the main shape and then have envelope deformers around it.
So like you can have like an envelope and a line deformer, which is amazing for like hair and tail. I feel like hair and
Let
tails.
me see if I can do that real quick. So I think it's up here, create deformer and deformer. Can I see if I remember how to do this? I think I just select the drawing. There we go. Now I'm gonna add a deformer down the middle. Now hit done. Yeah, now you can actually.
Now you can turn it around and do some fun.
Yeah, and you can tweak the shape as well, which you weren't able to do before.
Yeah, it really helps, especially with arms,
Yeah.
ponytails, tails.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because before you had to like do the envelope deformer or something. It's like you do every single little thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to get like that nice bend shape.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm so glad that's a thing now.
This is a brand new feature, I think.
That will save lives.
Why do we keep doing that?
And time and money. So.
Oh my god, buggy. Do I have to do that? I don't know why it's not letting me do that for the bottom one. That's so weird. Lower.
Did you select the peg maybe?
Maybe. Let me see.
Huh.
No. So you're supposed to select the drawing. Yeah, I don't know. It's a kind of a buggy feature, but it works great when it works. Yeah. There we go.
Speaking about bugginess, I remember I remember the Mac computers had a lot of problems with Toonboom at the beginning of the semester.
Oh yeah.
Where they were.
Oh, it's like the update or whatever to Big Sur.
Yeah, the Big Sur update
pretty
much made it so you couldn't use the pencil or the brush tool, which is
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that's kind of the bread and butter of the program.
Yeah, that's like everything that you need.
Yeah.
Remember when they fixed that? That was a good day for everybody.
Yes. So yeah, now her army's completely rigged, and I did that 20 minutes, something like that.
About 20 minutes there. Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah, wow. Now you got a fully functioning
Yeah,
arm.
but it just shows like how having all your artwork done ahead of time just like saves so much time.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And like having different libraries too helps, like for hands and mouths, eyelids too.
Yeah.
And
like for the hands. Oh, I'm sorry.
And the more and more that you do this, you could even take like different aspects of this from one character, copy and paste it, and even add it to another. Like with the hand, for instance, like if you have another character who has like a long sleeve, you could just take that hand, copy and paste it onto the other project there. So
yeah,
exactly. And you could just adjust it to fit the new character. Like I think you can import the library itself, like the hand library.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You just drag it in and replace the old hand layer with the new one.
All right. So thank you for that demonstration here of setting up the arm. So So guys, what questions do we have for James and Caitlyn?
I'll stop the share.
It looks like everyone's on mute here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, I just had a question of what do you guys are what is the most impressive rigging you've ever seen for a show?
Oh my God.
Mm.
I remember seeing I think it was from one of the shows Mercury Filmworks was working on.
Oh God, yeah.
They're a studio up in Canada. And they do these crazy 360 turnaround rigs. I think a friend of mine sent me one. I can't remember from what show, but it's just like, wow.
Tangled.
No, it wasn't Tangled. It was some other show. I can't quite remember the name of. But it's just like I saw that and it's just like, whoa.
They've done some good stuff. Like the Tangled. Did they do Tangled? I think they did.
Oh yeah, they did Tangled.
And then they did the Lion Guard. Like I've seen like a demo of that on YouTube somewhere, and it's just crazy. It's like every little hair is like a different rig.
Yeah.
I think mine for the one I saw was actually, it was interesting. It was from Archer season 3. At the very end, the season finale, the space episode. And I loved it because of how simple it was, but they were able to do so much animation with it with just a single rig. They didn't even have to draw anything except for like one set of arms for it. You know, whenever you're sitting down, you take a tennis ball, you throw it against the ground, it hits the wall, and you catch it again. Somebody was able to do that entire animation of just moving the hands back and forth like that with only a single set of arms. And
it's so cool.
Wow.
And it worked. They didn't have to do any more extra drawing or anything. So even though it wasn't necessarily like complex, it was the most efficient rig that I've ever seen because they were able to just make it look supernatural just from a single set of arms.
Definitely. No, that's so cool. I love that kind of stuff.
That's definitely the art of the Toonboom Harmony rigs at its finest there.
Actually, I remember when we started introducing Toonboom into Archer was at the end of season 5 too. I remember there was a scene where Lana, I think it was Lana, she's in bed about to give birth to the kid, and she proceeds to beat up a few bad guys while pregnant, take their weapons, and then aim it at the characters. And the whole thing was animated in Harmony, and we had to turn away the file because it was too good.
What?
It did not feel like it was the same show. And that was one of the weirdest notes that got turned back. It was like, this looks too good. Just dumb it down a little bit.
Oh my God.
So I
poor animator.
Well, I think we were still using Adobe Flash / Animate at the time. And I think that the animator was really trying to be able to sell the producers on the idea of switching over to Harmony. And so they overdid it with the project. And so even though the file itself got turned down, that was the starting point where Floyd County started thinking like, we should use Harmony for all of our rigs going into the future.
Yeah.
Oh,
so probably like it's so.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, both of them came over at the same time. I'm like, oh look, kitty party.
They're both leaving.
Yeah. Came to say hello.
All right. So what were you gonna say, Caitlin?
I completely lost track. I was gonna say that their whole world probably changed after getting introduced to Harmony.
All right, what other questions you guys have?
Was it?
I have one. Oh, Paige,
Sorry.
you can go first.
Okay. I was just gonna ask if it was intimidating at all, like learning all this new animation stuff? Because just like hearing about it and knowing not, I feel like I don't know enough about it to be able to be successful in the field, but I don't know.
Caitlyn can probably answer that a little better than I could because I kind of self-taught myself almost. So it's just like I kind of like learned it, and by the time I was at the studio, I already kind of knew the software. But Caitlyn, you kind of like came in like after not really knowing much about Harmony at all, right?
Yeah, I fortunately took a class, a continuing education class on Harmony, and it was definitely it was great. Like I thought the program was fantastic, but I was definitely like, because it was so condensed, I was so overwhelmed by all the stuff that I was being told. And but luckily some of that resonated with me, and it helped me enough to get a job at Bento Box, which is where I really actually mostly learned on the job. Like I had a lot of questions about certain things, but once I got a hang of the program, it was very easy to navigate through. So it's definitely, when people say they're intimidated by Toonboom Harmony, I was like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, because you look at it and it's like, there's so many tools and there's so many, a node view is just like, to me, it's just a casserole spaghetti nonsense. And, but once people show me like, oh, you just hit this button. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it really helps working with other people because other people can show you it's like stuff that you're like maybe not doing as efficiently as you could. It's like they can just show you, oh, you just do this. And it's like, okay, wow,
Yeah.
I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like I barely knew I knew the basics of Harmony, but I definitely learned a lot more working on an actual production using Harmony.
So you would say that just understanding the basics is what you need in order to be able to get a job, because a lot of studios will be able to kind of take you further once you get hired.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, like at least in my experience, they're definitely willing to help continue training you on the job. They do send you a test, but as long as your test is good and you know how to animate and navigate a little bit through the program, they'll help you with all the other technical stuff that pops up in the future, which always happens because even the higher ups sometimes like play around with different things with Toonboom.
They're always...
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Yeah, I was like, that's definitely a question I was asking myself too when I got the job. I was like, am I really able to do this? But I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And it worked out, so that was good.
You actually pulled out some pretty complex shots, like by the end.
Oh yeah, I was doing a character in Hoops was doing a music video, and at the end he's doing this big like 360 turn. And I was like, it took me 2 weeks to do that one 20-second shot. I think it was 20 seconds long. I was like, oh my God.
It wasn't the camera like rotating around him or something like that?
It was. Well, the camera was supposed to look like it was rotating, so I had to like do all these weird tricks to make it look like it was moving. I was like, oh God, who decided this was a good idea?
Yeah.
That was my magnum opus for that studio.
The way I like to look at it is that there's so many different tools and ways to do any given task in Photoshop, in Animate, in Toonboom, that as long as we're able to kind of demonstrate that you're able to do it some way, the studio will teach you how they do it their way after you get hired. So.
Exactly. Every studio has their own method of using the program, because there's so many, like you said, there's so many different ways. That they're always like, all right, we'll show you they give you like kind of like an orientation week.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very, very rarely you'll just be thrown into the deep end.
Oh yeah.
unless you're like a really experienced animator, it's like usually they'll give you a couple weeks to kind of, and even if you are,
Even then, I feel like they show you the ropes.
yeah, they'll give you a few weeks to kind of settle in.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
All right, I think somebody else had a question right before Paige, or right after Paige.
Oh yeah, I did. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, just testing it out. My microphone's off sometimes. So my question is for like working on deadlines and like time management. So how long would rigging or any form of animation like take, and how long is too long?
Basically, it's like for full characters with full turnarounds, I'm gonna say I would say you get at least a week to rig the character, sometimes more, depending on like how complicated the style is. But it's like, yeah, you'll get maybe a week or two to do that. You'll have notes that you have to do and everything, and they'll give you like a kind of a final deadline that in most cases can be pushed back and forth if needed, if they give enough time for animation and everything like that. Like animation's not starting right away, maybe the deadlines will be a little more flexible. But I've been in situations also, it's like, okay, we have 300 characters that all need to be rigged by next week. So it's like, but they're all like side characters or background characters. So it's like, maybe a view will take a couple of hours compared to a couple of weeks, so it really depends on the show and the style. Yeah, there's really, and it's like for deadlines, yeah, they'll give you like a date. It's like, okay, all these characters are all due Friday, and they'll put it on their tracking software or whatever it is. And yeah, if for some reason you can't hit your deadlines, you just let your production person know. And usually they're pretty flexible with moving things around. Now, at least in my experience.
Now let's say you have an 8-point turnaround, eight different angles. And by the end of your deadline, you're only able to get 7 of them fully rigged.
Yeah.
Would it be okay to turn in the 7 for them to work with? And
yeah. Oh, absolutely. You can just say, it's like, okay, here's 7 of the views. Go ahead and look these over. I'm working on the last view. I'll get it to you today or whatever it is. And yeah, they're usually fine with that kind of thing. As long as you let them,
Communication is key.
Yeah. Communication.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then they could take that and like they'll review it, and then they can pass on whatever is done to the animators while you're working on that last view.
Exactly.
And I found that to be true for almost any role in the animation industry, because it's such a team-based job and production that whatever you have, you're able to send over to the next team. So they're not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for you to see. Good. Like if I ever have to turn in like a 5-minute long animatic, but I only have 4 minutes of it ready, I can submit the first 4 minutes. They have something to work with. I finish the final minute and I give it to them. And that way they're able to still meet their deadline, even though I was, maybe a day behind.
Yeah, exactly.
But if
it helps things run really smoothly.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just adding to that. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just adding on what you were saying. So.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, yeah, it just helps the whole pipeline run smoother, because things, delays happen.
Yeah.
And it just kind of planning ahead and keeping things rolling helps keep the pipeline going.
Yeah. All right, great questions. What other questions you guys have? Well, actually, I guess unless you guys have any other questions here, unless you guys have any other questions, I guess we can go ahead and call this a day here. So
yeah, this was great, guys.
James, Caitlyn, thank you so much.
Let's do it again.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And we will be returning face to face in the fall.
Yeah,
and
I can't wait.
I would absolutely love to bring the two of you in here again,
I
like
would
maybe
love
next spring, face to face. So
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Mhm.
again.
thank you both so much. I'm not sure if anyone else will be able to kind of chime in with this too, but I just got to give you a round of applause. That was awesome.
Yeah, some really good questions too.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, so I recorded this for everybody who wasn't able to join us. After I get it uploaded as well, I'll send it to both of you guys as well, so that way you can, send that around and whatever.
Awesome.
But thank you so much. I hope you have an awesome day. And guys, to the students, thank you so much for tuning in. So.
All right.